now pleased to introduce our next session. We have the effect of LED flicker on the welfare, health, and productivity of table egg production pullets reared to 16 weeks. Samantha Mcphee, University of Saskatchewan. Please go ahead.
Hello, okay, I'll just share my screen here. Can you see that okay?
Looks good.
Perfect, wonderful. Thank you for the introduction. As Victoria said, I'm Samantha Mcphee. I'm a master's student at the University of Saskatchewan, and my project is examining the effects of LED light flicker on the welfare, health, and production of pullets when they're reared to 16 weeks of age. So what is light flicker? Well, light flicker occurs when there are changes to the voltage which cause quick repeated changes to the light intensity. If you look at the word light flicker, that's what it kind of looks like, something like that. So it's important to note that all light is flickering, it's just whether or not we can see it. And that's called the flicker fusion frequency, the boundary between us seeing the light flicker or seeing just a continuous stream of light. So what can birds actually perceive in terms of light flicker? They can not consciously perceive a flicker frequency above about 90 hertz, but it has been shown that they can unconsciously perceive flicker at about 118 to 119 hertz. And they term this invisible flicker when they are exposed to a flicker that cannot be perceived, but it can still have impacts on the individual. So the current research that has been done has primarily focused on fluorescent lights and European starlings. There have been some preference tests done with laying hens. There's also been a lot of research on the behavioral effects of light flicker on European starlings and the effects of light flicker on stress responses, but overall the results of these are conflicting. So the objective of my study was to determine the impact of flickering lights on pullet welfare and production. And my overall hypothesis was that LED light flicker will negatively impact the welfare and production of pullets as it creates an adverse environment for the birds. So for my materials and methods, I have two trials, one that ran from May to August of 2021 and one May to August of this year. I used two strains for my trial, the Lohmann LSL light and the Lohmann brown light. We also used 3 flicker frequency, 30 hertz, 90 hertz, and 250 hertz. At 30 hertz, both people and birds can perceive light flicker. At 90 hertz, just birds should be able to see the flicker. And at 250 hertz, that should be well above what the birds can unconsciously perceive. For each trial, we had 1,344 white birds and 1,344 brown birds housed in pens at a stocking density of 6.09 birds per square meter. Each pen, as you can see from the picture, had a perch, 2 tube feeders, and a drinker line that had 6 nipples on it. You can also see that for the first week, the birds had access to supplemental feeders and drinkers. For lighting for the first week, the birds were exposed to 22 hours of light and 2 hours of dark. And then from weeks 2 to 16, they got 8 hours of light and 16 hours of dark, consistently at a light intensity of 30 lux. For the lighting equipment, we used flicker boxes to control the flicker frequency and the duty cycle, which were made by Green Gauge. The flicker frequency and light intensity were checked bi-weekly using a series of equipment. For production parameters, we weighed the birds when they first came to us at 0 days of age, and then we also weighed them at 8 and 16 weeks of age. We also did what we called feed disappearance, because as you can see, my birds had a tendency to climb into the feeders and kick feed out or dust bathe in it. So we weighed the feed throughout the trial. We also monitored mortality and calls and recorded those and necropsied them for cause. We did a series of behavior videos at 4, 8, 12, and 16 weeks of age, looking at a variety of behaviors, including comfort behaviors, perching behaviors, nutritive behaviors, and exploratory behaviors. In addition to that, we scored the bird's comb and plumage at 16 weeks of age and used this as an indicator of aggressive behaviors like pecking. We also did several stress response tests. So we collected serum corticosterone at 7 weeks of age and did heterophil to lymphocyte ratio at 7 and 15 weeks. So I got to look at the beautiful slides. We also did a series of fear tests. We did novel object tests at 7 and 15 weeks using the tin foil covered balloon weights. And we did tonic immobility at 8 and 16 weeks of age. For the results, I currently don't have any results because my second trial has not been completed yet. So the results will be analyzed after my second trial. I just want to say a quick thank you to the funders, Clark's Hatchery, Saskatchewan Egg Producers, Egg Farmers of Canada, and Egg Farmers of Alberta. And also thank you to all of the lab group and the barn staff who have helped me with this. I'll be happy to answer any questions now.
Thank you, Samantha. That was great. So folks, you can type your questions in the Q&A box. We have a couple of minutes for questions, and your reminder that if you haven't done so, drink some water, please. I will do so as well. So can you tell me a little more about the balloon foil test, please, quickly? And we do actually have another question as well. So the foil balloon object.
Yeah. So that was for our novel object test. So it was just a balloon weight that we picked up from the dollar store. We would place it into the pen and then time to see how long it took 3 birds to peck at it. The idea being if it took them longer to peck at it, they're more fearful. So that was that novel object test that we did.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Next question. What informed the choice of the 3 flicker frequencies?
Right. So the 30 hertz flicker frequency was one that both people and birds would be able to see. For reference, people can see up to about 80 hertz, although there may be some outliers. The 90 hertz flicker frequency is right where the birds should be able, it's kind of that cusp of whether or not they'll be able to see it. A lot of literature suggests that at right around the 90 hertz, the birds are no longer able to perceive flicker. And then 250 hertz, we just wanted to make sure that it was well above what they could unconsciously perceive. So that since they can unconsciously perceive about 118 to 119, we wanted to make sure that it was above that.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we still have about another minute or two for questions. I was wondering if you could talk about the potential cost of reducing flicker or switching to another type of light source, basically practical implications of your research.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned that because back in March at the Saskatchewan Egg Producers Annual General Meeting, my colleagues and I distributed a survey to find out what producers actually see in terms of light flicker and also what types of lights they use. So the data from that has yet to be analyzed, but just a quick skim through it shows that some producers do actually notice light flicker. In terms of an economical analysis, we're not doing that for this trial, although it would be interesting to see just how much it would cost to fix the flicker in certain barns. But for this trial, we're not doing that, unfortunately.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.